Yet another sign that Hollywood is totally bereft of new ideas. We have another Alexander the Great biopic being released. Oh boy, and she's a doozy. Like, it wasn't that long ago. Back in 2004, you had that terrible casted Alexander movie with Angelina Jolie as his mom and Colin Farrell playing the Macedonian conqueror, the greatest, hell, he was ladies, people tell me, people try to make the argument that Genghis Khan was the best conqueror, but he wasn't called Alexander the Great for no reason, folks. Okay, Alexander had an empire that he wept when he looked. I would weep, though. A lot of people say that Alexander wept. I don't think he did. He was a great man. He was a great man, very accomplished man. When he set his mind to do something, frankly, he went out and did it. When he cast his eyes upon his great empire, they say he wept. I'll take their word for it, but I don't know if I believe it. But that's what people say. That he had no more land to conquer. Okay, that's what makes him so great. He's the greatest ever, folks. But he's back with his story being told in light of the 2004 disaster, so maybe it does need an uptake, and maybe it does need a remake of sorts, but there are other people that you could talk about, like, Genghis Khan. That would be fun. Like, it's been a while since John Wayne donned the makeup. Hey, I'd be a great conqueror. Me on my horse getting radiated in the middle of the desert now. That shit's hilarious. Oh, what? You had that really well-received Cleopatra biopic, and then, the recently released box office bomb in Napoleon. So I guess this is a new trend that Hollywood is trying out. It's like there's interesting stories. There's infinite interesting stories that you can tell about historical people, but God damn it, man. Get some new friggin' ideas. And, it's also been marked with the seal of failure, given the fact that it's Netflix producing this one. But hey, they actually did something right. They didn't blackface Alexander the Great. I guess that would have been too much of an affront, but Alexander, The Making of a God on Netflix review. The docudrama fails to leave a mark because of its muddied approach. And it only took him 8 minutes to make him gay. What the God damn it, man. When it comes to Greek history, one cannot have a conversation without mentioning Alexander the Great. There's a lot of mystery behind how this man ascended to the throne when he was young, and how he went on to become one of history's greatest and most successful rulers. Some people say. Anyways, the latest Netflix docudrama explores exactly that, and how much, for as many miles as he has taken, what is more great? The vast number of miles in his empire, or the amount of miles of cock he takes between his butt cheeks? Alexander, Making of a God, takes a deep dive, how deep is it, into the life of this king. Or maybe a queen. The series is generating considerable buzz on social media, and here's what you need to know about it. The story follows the life of Alexander and how he went on to become the great ruler. Series takes you into his life, which includes his personal life. A lot of focus on that because it's Netflix after all. And even the life on the throne. Which one are we talking about? Alexander was known as the boy king when he ascended to the throne after his father's death. And yeah, I kind of thought the controversy, not the fact that, maybe he likes to toot on a pecker every once in a while. I just always thought that he was a mama's boy, but okay, no, he's clearly queer. When no one believed in his mettle, how he won over the people of his modern techniques, they were quite uncommon. The series portrays how Alexander gets the Persian Empire thanks to his burning desire to conquer the world. It also gives a sneak peek into the love life of Alexander and tries to humanize him. Why do we have to do that in the context of the modern audience? Christ almighty, if they ever do a Marcus Aurelius biopic, it's like, the godfather of Stoicism. The reason that he was so reserved is because one of his uncles would walk into his chambers at night and touch him funny. That's why he couldn't open up to anybody. And who knows, maybe he was also queer because he didn't have a blood relative to pass down his lineage to. Let's start, with Buck Braithwaite. What are the performances like? How flexible was Alexander, as he beautifully embodied exactly what the role demanded of him. At no point did he feel too modern in this historic documentary, nor stick out like a sore thumb. Oh boy. You got the burning what are we doing? And rage of Alexander just right without making the character come across as too cocky. Oh boy. In the scenes where he had to show his apprehension for the throne, he got the vulnerability on point without making it look like he was performing in a daily soap. The character of Darius, played by Mido Hamada, Mido got the character of the Persian ruler, and he hit the bullseye with his portrayal. His dialogue delivery is perfect, and so is his screen presence. Yes, and especially when they start making out. Gee, man, where did they come up with this whole gay narrative? Okay, this is something, frankly, I didn't really hear about outside of just, the latent homosexuality of, Greeks and especially the Spartans that would go ahead and take their charge with them and give them a couple of pumps and find a different sheath for their sword before battle. Like, for as cool as the Spartans have been portrayed throughout history, kind of despicable individuals. It wasn't necessarily the Athenians that were simply the boy lovers. It was the sign of the times. It was the style of the time. Some people attached an onion to their belt, and other people, well, just like the taste of man ass. Was Alexander the Great gay? No. Fucking Christ. What the historians say. Oh yes, let's hear from quote-unquote historians. Yet another Netflix documentary on the ancient world has proved controversial, this time with the depiction of Alexander the Great as gay in the opening episode of Alexander, the Making of a God. 8 minutes in. 8 fucking minutes in. 8 minutes into the new Alexander the Great series. Yes, and he is, deep kissing his Persian counterpart. Unbelievable. I thought even Netflix would have some decency, but nope. In the opening scene in Alexander, Making of a God, which started airing, yes, on Netflix, they didn't get into the complexity of the character. They just had to figure out, where does he stick his dick at night? We need to know that. That is far more important. The portrayal of the ancient Macedonian king as a homosexual has generated angry responses from some viewers who feel that the documentary is distorting history. Meanwhile, the new Netflix series promises to reveal the extraordinary life of Alexander the Great per the official synopsis, but how accurate are the claims surrounding the sexuality of history's greatest conqueror? I would take a wild guess that maybe Netflix is taking liberties like Alexander did with some of his young squires. It is not the first time that Alexander the Great's sexuality has caused controversy. Yes, director Oliver Stone's 2004 terrible depiction. I love you, Oliver. You've done some of the best work in history, but that was not one of them. Okay, depiction of the Macedonian king as homosexual in the movie Alexander was similarly divisive. I thought he was just a mama's boy in that one. Anyways, on one end of the spectrum, various gay rights activists. Yes, of course, we got another one, boys. Websites praise Alexander the Great as an iconic gay hero. Yes, of course, the greatest conqueror ever. If being a great conqueror was somehow reliant on being gay, why weren't there more throughout history? Anyways, on the opposite end of the spectrum, a riot erupted in Thessaloniki, in 2002 during a historical symposium on Alexander's sexuality, requiring a police force of 40 to protect the delegates. Absolutely abased the Greeks, but that was back in 2002. Now they're too busy figuring out how to keep the lights on. The fact the historical figure's sexuality is a point of such intense controversy came 2,347 years after his death certainly complicates objective efforts to get to the bottom of this matter. Sexuality in ancient Greece. Yeah, let's just get to the facts of the matter, okay? Before we can even answer the question whether A to the G was gay, we need to consider the social and historical context. This because contemporary conceptions of sexuality would be anathema to the ancient Greeks, whereas today sexual identities such as gay, lesbian, straight are assigned to people. Oh God, you're supposed to be a historian and you're using all of this modern day horseshit. Assigned based on your gender. No, it's assigned based on what makes your junk tingle. The ancient Greeks and Romans believed that sexuality was defined by a role one plays during an intimate act. Yeah, based Greeks. Now, if they could just get body hair under control. As Ruth Mazos-Karas writes in the academic paper for the American Historical Review, the Greeks and Romans categorized sexual behaviors or identities not by gender of the participants, but by the sexual role each played. Key to the distinction of gender roles was the concept that men are men are active and women are passive, or that men are penetrators and women are penetrated. Okay, you got me so far. Ross continued. Thus, anyone who is penetrated or is in any ways passive is gendered female, and anyone who penetrates is masculine. Oh my god. Thanks, Dr. John Mooney, for muddying all of this discussion with your stupid interjection of gender. Fucking butcher. Therein lies the difficulty we encounter when answering this question. Long story short, Alexander the Great was the fucker, not the fuck-e, and under the context of ancient Greek tradition, made him straight as an arrow and the best conqueror in history. But don't let Netflix detract from a good crisis out there. He was as queer as folk, and that makes the greatest conqueror in history. Somebody that's not going to be flying his own banner, but the first ever pride flag will fly and be raised above the seat of Alexander the Great. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.